Good evening. Today I wanted to talk about sharpening your saw, but I'll start with a story. I want to put this all pertinent to what's going on today. There's this beautiful island in the South Pacific, and there are only 10 families that live on this island. And the men need to go fishing to feed their families, and they fish from sunup to sundown. It's a lot of work, but everybody's happy, and everybody's needs are being met. And then a missionary comes from overseas in a boat, and he brings 2 nets, and he takes the 2 strongest people and teaches them how to fish with a net. And so now they're able to, in about 8 hours, catch more fish than all of them could fishing all day long. And they don't have to be fishing every day. They get a couple of days off. Now the village has all the food it can use. There's an abundance, and there's more time to do things, but they have a problem, a real problem. 80% unemployment. I think that's about what we got going here now in the States, and probably around the world. So what are they going to do? They end up taking a look at their talents and their interests and their abilities and needs. And with them, with those talents and abilities and needs that they've identified, they begin, somebody starts teaching the children skills and lessons of survival and things like that. And somebody starts working on building things, and different people find different tasks so they can continue to feel useful. And they become a much, much more productive society. And so here we are today with isolation and being homebound, and we have this wonderful tool, the internet. And we have skills. People have skills and talents and the ability to fulfill needs of other people that could be linked together so that by the time the dust settles, we've increased our talents. I've heard it said you can tell a lot about a person by what they do when there's nothing to do. And so that's a thought that's been going through my head to keep me busy, to keep myself busy, and to be saying, okay, what can I be doing as I work to provide for my family to be fulfilling needs and to take advantage of technology? And so that's something that I work with a lot. Now, this thought of sharpening the saw. I love to cook. This is one of my favorite knives. And out of habit, before I start cooking or cutting vegetables, or this morning it was deviled eggs, but before I start, I always pull out my sharpener and I sharpen the knife. And as I was doing that, and I was thinking about all those things this morning, I remembered what Linda and Richard Eyre were talking about many years ago. I've been looking at this stuff for years and years and years. And they talked about sharpening the saw, and how before there were 2 people going to cut trees. And the one who would stop and sharpen his saw and take 20 minutes to sharpen his saw lost the 20 minutes the other guy had, but he could cut through the trees so much faster. How does that parallel to where we're at? We want to have a strong feeling of direction and fulfillment. And to do that, sharpen our saws, we need to identify what it is we can do, what it is we want to do. And if that's not coming to us in clarity, there's people we can talk to. We can talk to people that we would model. We can talk to people that we know that are working with these kinds of things. And we can, there's so many people ready to help and give advice. And you can, YouTube can teach you to do just about anything. But to sharpen the saw is to get clarity of purpose, to identify exactly what it is we want to do, and then to break it into pieces so that we have a plan. And then when you start working with the principles of the mind and the mind-body connection, you start understanding that we have so much control over where our mind goes, where our interests and our efforts get directed, but we tend to be in autopilot. And so if in autopilot we're not having great days and having fulfillment and seeing purpose, then we need to refocus into what's going to help us do that. There's a lot of stress going on as people aren't working. There's a lot of stress going on as there are different issues, and many people have had a family who've started to get ill, but a lot of people have recovered too, and our prayers go out to all those that are suffering. And stress and things like that, we can, through purpose and sharpening the saw, get more clarity. And so there are specialists like myself and my wife and the people that we've gone to school with, that we've made such close bonds with, who can help people identify what it is they might be able to do now and how they might be able to do it. And it behooves all of us. In our experiences and our training in neurolinguistic programming and timeline therapy, it's been like it's been a relief of significant emotional experiences throughout my life. I had to call my little brother this morning, and we talked for about an hour and 20 minutes. It was awesome. He was running around town, and we were still talking. But I haven't really had a communication with him for about 50 years, as far as anything significant, spending that much time. I had to call him and tell him, well, the best way I could explain it was that there's a Polynesian philosophy in kind of their religious as far as spiritual understanding, where you visualize a person who you would have reason to have ill feelings with, and you visualize them in front of them, and you say, I forgive you and you forgive me. And that's all I said to my brother. That was the best way I could explain it, and tell him I loved him. And I couldn't believe the way the walls came down. The way the walls came down after so many decades of being kind of sensitive towards each other. And so there's so much that we can do. The mind is a fertile field, and we can have so much impact on what happens there. And this is stuff that's available. And the first thing to be able to change, the first step, the first progress to be able to change is to know it's possible. I'm a natural pain therapist, and I've worked with so many people who have had chronic pain for decades. They didn't know they didn't need to be in pain. But once they do understand that, and that registers in their system, that registers and they experience a break in that pain, then we have something new to do. The body is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Our subconscious is extremely powerful. I mean, look, it runs our heartbeat and the flow of blood. It runs our lungs, our breathing, holds all of our emotions and all of our memories. And like my wife Kelly was saying earlier today, it's like a cup. If too much emotion is flowing, the cup can overflow. And so there's things that we need to work with and that we can work with. So know what you want to do, sharpen your saw, and I hope that this experience, where so many of us have to spend so much time at home, can be very fulfilling and a very happy time, and that we can reach out to each other to be helping each other with that kind of thing. Thank you. Have a good night.